So let's dive into the bigger conversation. The bigger conversation of the cycle of hatred. Now, funny story. What made me talk about this? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am a fan of Attack on Titan. Have you heard of it? Yes, I talk about politics and all that stuff. I talk about very important issues, but we're all human. We all have hobbies that we enjoy. And some mediums we gain a lot of very important lessons from. And one of those messages that I garnered from one of the greatest anime and manga of all time is Attack on Titan. Because in this series, there is a conflict. Spoilers, by the way. There's a conflict between entities, two different parties of individuals. Not political parties, but ideological parties, basically, to help you understand. And these two parties have been at each other's throats for so very long. One party did something despicable long time ago. Current party is doing something despicable now. The other side wants revenge. And after that person does revenge, the other side wants revenge on that revenge. The cycle of hatred. Now, the way they saved the world, basically, is very drastic. And I won't spoil it for you, but I will say this. There needs to be steps taken into place to make sure that a certain type of ending never happens. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the bigger conversation. There are situations in society right now when we're having similar things happen. The Israel and Palestine situation is a perfect example. I talked about the history from what I've known, the surface level history from what I've known already. How both Palestinians and Israelis, Jewish and Muslim, they had claim to the land to an extent. They both wanted Israel for themselves. There was constant conflict on who should own it. Certain people were killing each other. Palestinians were killing Israelis. Israelis were killing Palestinians. The conflict kept on going for years and years and years. And the question is, will peace ever be brokered? Even in a Ukraine or Russia situation, with the Ukrainians and Russians, conflict constantly. We could probably think of so many circumstances where there's constant conflict, but we got to recognize, I can understand why someone would want revenge. My friend was killed, and my friend wasn't killed specifically, but I'm kind of framing this for you. I have a friend that's killed. I'm going to want to have justice on the guy that killed my friend. So let's say I kill that guy. Well, that guy has friends. That guy has family. He's going to want revenge. And then the cycle continues. There's really never been a situation where revenge satisfied anybody. Or revenge was the solution to solve the problem at hand, especially at a large scale. What we're going to need, and it goes back to the conversation prior, we're going to need individuals who are ready to humanize the scum of the earth. These people that is willing to see the human inside the individual, to see the pain, the suffering that is going on in their hearts, to see the anger that is emanating from their presence. The people who are willing to see that are the people who are going to save the world. And that's just the God-honest truth. I've said this already. We're all human. Yes, there are certain people who have no capacity for emotion. Sociopaths, psychopaths. But the excuse of mental illness is just not a good one. The reason why is because we all feel. The reason why we reach that point can be probably a negative environment, a negative circumstance that happened to me. And then you want to continue that cycle. Someone has to be the individual to stop the cycle itself. Someone needs to be willing to understand that all of us want a better society. All of us want to live in a peaceful life. All of us want our kids to flourish and prosper in a peaceful society. We want the basic necessities. We want to enjoy life. All of us want that. So you can understand that when someone tries to take those things away, why they would be angry. That's the part you got to look at. That's the part you got to empathize with. And it's ridiculous how some sides want to empathize, some sides want to sympathize, but they don't keep it consistent. Like, for example, I'm going to attack the left again. How are you going to be willing to humanize the Palestinians and Hamas, but not feel the same way to the Israelis? How are you going to humanize people for the LGBTQ minorities, but not humanize white people? There's no consistency. You don't want to see identity. You don't want to see color. You don't want to see any of that, I'm sure. So why don't we just see people as humans? Isn't that the goal at the end of the day? What is the most dangerous is when we pick and choose how we humanize people. When we pick and choose who we deem are humans. That is the worst thing you can do, because that allows you to commit the most atrocious actions. And then you start that cycle. Someone has to be able to bite the bullet. Someone has to be able to forgive. It's crazy, right? That we've had this message of forgiveness for so long from religion, from Christianity. You know, I grew up Christian, so I obviously know this, that one of the biggest keys and components of Jesus Christ dying on the cross is forgiving all of our sins. Human history has known this solution for so long, that the key to saving society, the key to ending the worst cycle in human history, the key to prosperity and peace, and I'm not saying this to be this religious nut job. I'm not saying this for being this moralistic, advocator. I'm not saying any of that to put me on a pedestal. I'm approaching logic. The key is forgiveness. It has always been the key. It's one of the most difficult things you can do. How can I forgive someone who punched me in my face? How can I forgive someone that cheated on me? How could I forgive someone who stole from me? How could I forgive someone that killed my family? How can I forgive someone that killed me? One of the hardest things that you could ever do in your life is forgive someone who has wronged you. But one of the most powerful things, one of the best solutions, one of the greatest tools you can have at your disposal is the ability to forgive someone who's wronged you. Because think of it like this. Let's use this in situations now today in society, right? So, in a situation regarding Israel and Palestine, let's say that there's Israeli IDF soldiers who finally forgive the fact that there is terrorist Hamas individuals that killed their family and decided that I'm going to put my gun down and I want to create a unified state. Let's say Palestinians forgave their loved ones dying from airstrikes and IDF soldiers to come together, forgive them, and create a unified state. After that, the solution that they created, what will happen? Peace. That's what's going to happen. Peace. Imagine Ukraine and Russia. Ukraine, forgive the fact that Russia invaded and killed Ukrainian people and decided, fine, I want to end the war. I want peace. Russia forgave them for whatever allegations they have and killing Russian soldiers. I want peace. Imagine what happens moving forward. Because approaching peace is not good for sustaining life. Approaching peace is good for innovation. Approaching peace is good for revolution. Approaching peace is good for evolution of humanity. Humanity won't evolve if we keep on killing each other. Humanity won't evolve if we stay in this cycle of hatred. Humanity won't evolve if we, as individuals, bicker over some of the most minute things. I am in a very unique position based off my experience. But I will never lie to you and say that I know for a fact that regardless of what anybody does to me, I'll be able to forgive them. Everybody wants justice. But holding on to that hatred and allowing that hatred to control you will never allow you to live out your life successfully, joyfully, completely. This message is important, ladies and gentlemen. This message of forgiveness is important because our society could collapse at any moment. Someone can be so hell-bent on continuing the cycle that another world war happens. We're living in an era where we think that we can create anything we want, a virtual reality. You can kind of create a virtual reality where you play in a video game. You can create stuff like Mr. Beast as an innovator who's putting wells in multiple third world countries. You can create so many ideas and things, but the only way you can do that is if you approach it through peace, not violence. It can be a little superficial. It can be something hard to understand for people who are endowed with hatred. It's tough. I won't deny that. But you can see the bigger conversation. And that's all I wanted to spell out for the people. I really do hope you enjoyed this podcast episode and discussing this cycle of hatred. We see numerous examples constantly of it going on. We see ways of the world that it is today that is consumed by the cycle of hatred. But the more we continue, and honestly, it's the more I look at politics, even on a less violent scale, what is hating Donald Trump going to do for me? What is hating Joe Biden going to do for me? What is hating Trump supporters going to do for me? What is hating radical progressives going to do for me? Nothing. Nothing. It won't provide anything for you either. Shout out a lot of the individuals that's creating all this very excellent content. But if you go into people like Destiny or Hassan's stream, maybe even like Just Pearly Things, who is in this current cycle where she's constantly feuding over with women, you can't let this cycle, which is very monetizable, by the way. Easiest way to gain money from is through war, violence, and emotions. And the cycle of hatred has all three of those things. Very easy. That's why controversy sells. But just tell these people, Just Pearly Things, Destiny, Hassan, etc., that I get it. You know, these people have wronged you. A lot of people have said some nasty stuff to Destiny and Hassan and Just Pearly Things. But I think overall, Just Pearly Things probably has her own approach to have a better relationship society in terms of more healthy relationships. Destiny wants a better society overall due to leftist ideology, and same with Hassan. But if they're too stuck in their ways of thinking, I don't think Destiny is. I think Hassan and Just Pearly Things is more of a problem with them. But if they're too stuck in their line of thinking, they're just going to continue the cycle. That's all that is going to happen at the end of the day. So that is all I have to say in reference to the cycle of hatred. This was a big conversation that I do think is important. Shout out to Attack on Titan for eliciting it so beautifully through the anime and the manga. But we see this cycle currently in society. We've seen this cycle throughout history and human history. We've seen this cycle kill millions, billions of people. And we, honestly, if anything is going to end the world, if anything can end humanity, it's that cycle right there. So make sure you guys take a lesson out of Jesus Christ's guidebook, Bible. I'm not telling you to be religious, but I am telling you that forgiveness is going to be your most powerful tool throughout the rest of your life. Hope you guys enjoyed. Rate it 5 stars if you did on the podcast, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. If you want to reach out to me to be a future guest or just want to contact me, feel free to go to my website, www.purplepoliticalbreakdown.com. You can find my email and contact me there, of course. Hope you all enjoy. You all have a good one. Take care. And peace. If you want to watch the full episode of this podcast, make sure you go on Roku TV and watch it on the Planet X network, where you can watch the full video version for the podcast. Again, go to Planet X Network on Roku.tv to watch the full version. I hope you do enjoy. Of course, you can still listen to the full audio version on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and any other podcast platform you listen to podcasts.